Hey friends, so today I'm going to show you how to make this beautifully tasty vegan spaghetti carbonara. You're not going to want to miss this one. Hit that subscribe button, let's cook. Okay, so first off, I'm going to take a block of tofu and you want to use about 80 grams of tofu. So what we're going to do is take really thin slices off the block. Now don't worry, if it starts to fall apart like that, it's absolutely fine. You're going to want little chunks of it anyway, so that's fine. Keep taking really thin slices. Now at this thickness, you're going to want about 4 slices of the tofu. So let's just take a couple more. Like I say, don't worry if it falls apart a little bit, it's absolutely fine. So we're just going to lay them out like so. Just lay them out on a chopping board, and then all you're going to do is cut them into strips, and then we're going to cut them again into kind of like little rectangles. Okay, so let's just kind of scrape these together. As you can tell, you don't need to be really accurate with it. The more jagged edges, the more it crumbles. It's just going to make it even more crispy. So let's give this a few slices like so, and you're going to get all of these kind of nice irregular shapes. So let's pop them to one side for just a second. There we go. And then grab a plate, just a nice flat plate like so. And over here we've got just under a tablespoon of corn flour. So we just pop that onto the plate, and then we're gonna put our tofu onto that corn flour. We're gonna mix it around and get it nice and coated, because this corn flour is gonna really help it crisp up as we fry it. Beautiful. That's it. You just wanna toss it around until you can't see any kind of like patches of white on the plate. So if you can do it in a coloured plate like this, nice little tip for you. So, right, spread your tofu out again, like so. And then we're gonna add a couple of things. What I've got here is a spray bottle with just some olive oil in. Just a couple of sprays like that. It's gonna mix with the corn flour. It's gonna make it like a batter, which is gonna make all of the rest of the seasoning stick to it. Over here, I've got some liquid smoke. Now this is optional, because really what you want from the tofu, because it's like a pancetta replacement, is you just want the saltiness in the dish. You want the saltiness and you want the crispy kind of texture. But this liquid smoke, here I've got about a teaspoon's worth. We're gonna add that on. Beautiful. And we're actually just gonna toss the tofu together, mix that olive oil and the liquid smoke, and you're gonna feel it start to like kind of stick to your hands a little bit, because like I say, it's gonna form like a little bit of a batter at this stage, which is gonna make the outside nice and sticky. Okay, over here I've got a little bit of cayenne pepper. You want to add less than 1/4 teaspoon of this. You only want the tiniest kick from it. So if we just scatter it like that, that is perfect. You don't want any more than that. You can add cayenne pepper, you can add smoked paprika if you want it even lighter, but tiniest kick. Here I've got some garlic salt. Now you want to add about 1/2 teaspoon of this. So let's give it a nice generous helping. If you can't find garlic salt anywhere, you can use garlic granules and just add some extra salt as well. Also going to add some fresh black pepper. About 1/4 teaspoon of that, you don't want much either. And then over here, I've got some oregano. Between 1/4 and 1/2 teaspoon of this. Let's go really light on that. Fantastic. And then again, get your hands in there, toss it all around, make sure they're all kind of nice and evenly coated with this mixture. The great thing about this is because you're gonna fry them, once you put them into the oil, a lot of the seasoning is gonna go into the oil and it's gonna soak into all of these pieces anyway. So the flavour is going to kind of get mixed around and it's going to even out a little bit in the pan. Okay, fantastic. They're nicely coated. So we're going to turn our skillet on and get that nice and hot. At the same time, we've got a large pan full of water here. We're going to turn that on as well, bring that to the heat and get that boiling away, ready for our spaghetti. So pop that on as well. Okay, that's getting nice and hot now. As soon as this reaches some heat, we're just gonna pop some olive oil in the pan and then we're gonna whack our tofu in, get nice and crispy, get it frying away. See, there's a nice generous helping of olive oil. If you think about a traditional carbonara, from the pancetta you're gonna get a lot of fat. It's gonna come out of that. So don't be afraid, add plenty of olive oil. It's gonna really help it crisp up, but it's also gonna give you that nice fatty feel that you get from a traditional carbonara. So we're just gonna bring that to heat and we're gonna put our tofu in. So our oil's got nice and hot. Let's pop this tofu in the pan. Beautiful sizzle. There we go. Every little crumbled piece, you want to get that in there because it's really going to crisp up. It's going to add a lot of kind of texture to the dish. So then we're just going to toss it around the pan, give that a stir. There we go. So you're going to want to fry that on a medium heat for like 4 to 5 minutes because you want it super, super crispy. So give it a few minutes and check in on it. But once you've kind of spread it out like this, you don't want to move it too much because it's going to really help it crisp up the more you leave it in one spot. While that's frying away, we're going to take 2 cloves of garlic, and nice and easy, we're just going to crush them. Quickly nip the ends off, like so. And then we're going to use that to peel the garlic skin away. Pop that in a bowl to the side there. Get this skin off. There we go. Happy days. Get the garlic in its birthday suit. And then what we're going to do, after that's been frying for a few minutes, we're going to add them in. We're going to add them in whole like that. We want the flavour of the garlic, but we don't need the mass of the garlic. So as it crisps up, start to agitate it a little bit, stir it around, make sure all of the surfaces get nice and crispy. All the crisp surfaces are going to brown. It's going to stick together a little bit, but don't worry about that. We're going to sort that out later. Okay, so that's been in for a couple of minutes now. We're just going to add these cloves of garlic in whole and let the oil soak up that flavour. The tofu is going to soak up that flavour as well. That oil is going to become the base of our sauce later. So we want that nice garlic aroma and flavour in that sauce. Okay, so after that's been frying for a few minutes and your garlic flavour's really soaked up into the oil, we're just going to scoop them out and pop them to one side. There we go. Big chunk of garlic there. Okay, put that to one side. And now, with our tofu, we're going to actually take that out of the pan. And we're just going to pop that on a piece of paper towel over on the side here. Okay, perfect. Kind of spread that out on the paper towel. We're just going to pop that over to one side. Over there. Our water's boiling hot. So you're going to want to take about 50p piece worth of pasta, give it a twist, drop it in. Because the water's really nice and hot, it's going to start to get tender really quickly. You can see that bounce already. So all I'm going to do is just press it into the water until it's fully inside the pan. There we go. And then just grab a fork and we'll just press it so it's all under the water like so. I'm just going to let that boil away for about 10 minutes until it's nice and firm to bite. So while our pasta's cooking away, our oil's on a very, very low heat now. We're going to cook our sauce in this pan. So over here I've got some vegan soy cream and I'm just going to add in about half a cup's worth. There we go, fantastic. Going to bubble away nicely. What we're going to do is we're just going to mix it up with all that oil. That oil's got tons and tons of flavour from the seasoning and also from the oil and the garlic. So we're going to stir all of that together. Fantastic. Now we're just going to add in 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast. Like so. Give that another little stir. Combine it all together. And then once all that's stirred together, we're going to add in about 1/3 of a cup of vegan cheese. It's going to really thicken our sauce up. It's going to melt. It's going to become a tiny bit stringy, but it's also going to become a little bit lumpy. If you think about traditional carbonara with that kind of egg feel in there, sometimes you get some like little lumps of egg in the mixture as well. So it really helps to replicate that nicely. Again, super low heat. You don't want to burn the cheese, you just want it to melt really gently in with the sauce, and you're gonna get this beautiful, thick, saucy consistency like this. So our sauce is ready, our pasta's nearly ready. What we're gonna do is take the tofu that we crisped up earlier, and we're just gonna start to crumble and break it apart, because some of it will have stuck together in the pan. So you're gonna kind of crumble it and break it apart into smaller chunks. Because what we're gonna do, once the pasta's ready, we're gonna drain it and mix that in with the sauce. We're gonna get nicely coated, and this tofu is gonna be the last thing we add in. Because after we've crisped it up and gave it this nice, beautiful texture, we don't want it to get soggy in the sauce. So we'll just break it up, ready for adding in. Because once it's in there, you don't want to agitate it too much. You just want to add it in, give it a quick stir, and then we want to serve it up with this nice, crispy texture. So our spaghetti is beautifully cooked. That's ready. So I'm just going to drain that water off now. There you go, fantastic. Pop it back in the pan, shake around, and then we're going to go straight into the sauce. Happy days. Now at this stage, heat off. Give that a shake around. And all we're trying to do now is just agitate it to make sure that the spaghetti is all covered with that sauce. Want it to be nicely coated. That's it, nice and even. Now that's mixed together, we're gonna take our tofu from earlier and empty that in. And again, we're just gonna give it a stir and try and mix that evenly throughout the dish. With my carbonara, I like to add a really big, generous helping of fresh parsley. Kind of roughly chop it like this. There we go. And I'm actually gonna add this in with the pasta. Tiny little stir, like so. So I'm gonna serve this up with some tongs. You've got 2 portions here, 2 really big, generous portions. I'm gonna serve that up. Now, I don't know about you, but when we were kids at home, it was always really, really important that every dish had like the right amount of everything on. I think it was mainly important to me. I used to get made fun of a lot for it. So if you've served your first portion and you've not got kind of all the little tofu bits that you wanted, make sure you just scoop some of them up and you can add them in, just to make sure it's nice and even. You want plenty of this beautiful texture in the dish. There we go. So that's about even now. Just a tiny pinch of salt. You've got quite a lot of salt in the dish, so just a little pinch on there. Generous helping of black pepper. Fantastic. And then all we're gonna do is add a touch more of this fresh parsley on top. There we go. And that makes the dish, finishes off beautifully. That is my spaghetti carbonara, all completely vegan, super, super tasty. Give it a go at home. Drop me a comment below and let me know how you got on. Always love your feedback. If you've not subscribed to the channel yet, subscribe for more tasty recipes coming your way all the time. But until next time, friends, just make sure you be nice to each other. Goodbye.